With everything that's going on in the world today, oftentimes it's so easy to feel stressed and overwhelmed by just the sheer amount of news that is being reported and coming in. And when you throw real life on top of that, and when I say real life, I mean like needing to pick up the kids from school or take the dog to the vet and go grocery shopping and find time to also vacuum, it can be stressful. And one question I've been getting a lot lately from my clients is stress eating. And how do I manage this appetite increase when I'm stressed? I feel like I've just been stressed for the last year nonstop. And I feel like my appetite has just been through the roof as a result of it. And how do I manage this stress eating, and why is it even happening? Why is my appetite increasing when I'm feeling stressed? Like, what does this mean about me as a person? So, I want to talk a little bit about stress today and how that plays a role in the way that we feel about and consume food. I know I specifically, on a super stressful day, can completely change how and what I eat. This is something that's very normal for a lot of us. And this isn't just in your head. This is truly your hormones speaking to you. So let's get into talk about the science of stress eating first. When your body senses stress, it activates this HPA axis, which releases our primary stress hormone, cortisol. We all know it. We all don't love it, but cortisol is here and it's here to stay. In the short term, acute stress can actually suppress your appetite. So you've maybe noticed this sometimes as well, that if I go through like a really stressful moment, like maybe I am really stressed out about a presentation I'm about to give, and I feel just jittery and stressed the hour leading up to that. But the second that presentation's done, all of that stress floats away because it's over with. That would be acute stress. And in that situation, maybe leading up to my presentation, I don't feel hungry for breakfast and I don't want to eat because I kind of have butterflies in my stomach. So stress can sometimes actually take our appetite away, but usually that's going to happen in the acute phase where it's something small, we get it over with, and then we're back to normal. When stress is chronic, meaning that it lasts for days or weeks, and this is why I give the example of like the news, that we're just like consuming this stressful information on a daily basis, or your routine where there's just too many things to accomplish in a day and it feels stressful. That is chronic stress that we are dealing with day in, day out. It's not going away the way that like a stressful presentation might. In this situation, your cortisol is being released and it is going to stay high. This stimulates your appetite and especially stimulates an appetite for higher sugar and higher fat comfort foods. So if you've ever noticed when you're stressed, you don't crave, you're not like, oh my gosh, I have this elevated appetite. Like, I just really want a kale salad right now. That is not the thing that your body is sending you signals to eat. Your body is sending you signals to eat high fat, high sugar, and really comforting foods that make you feel better and feel less stressed. So oftentimes the things that you're craving are like ice cream and cookies and cake, or fast food, French fries, mac and cheese, fried chicken, potato chips, Cheetos, things like that. Those are all high fat, high sugar, and like really comforting foods to us. And so those are the foods that your body is going to start craving and asking you for. When we are in these periods of chronically high stress, it also throws off those hunger and fullness cues that we get. So cortisol encourages the release of ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone. I like to remember this, that ghrelin makes you go grr, like grr, I'm hungry, right? So the more cortisol we have released as a result of stress, the more ghrelin we are telling our body to also release. And so we're increasing that appetite. At the same time that we're releasing more ghrelin, we are actively dulling the signal for leptin. Leptin is the hormone that tells us when we're full. So this also makes it harder for us to feel satisfied. If you've ever been in a really high stress period of your life, you might notice that you will like go get that thing that makes you feel comforted. So maybe it's an ice cream sandwich, and you eat that ice cream sandwich thinking that it's going to help you feel satisfied and fix that craving that you're having. But instead, you find that you're just like hungrier and still wanting more. That's a result of not only your ghrelin being increased, but that leptin being reduced, that we are no longer getting those satisfying fullness cues that our body usually sends. Your body is also signaled to store that energy as visceral fat, the kind that like usually accumulates around your middle section. We are told to store more fat when we are in this state of chronic stress and have all of this cortisol being released. So it's kind of this like storm of stuff going on that we're releasing more of this stress hormone that's telling us to promote fat storage. And it's also telling us to increase our appetite and actively reducing the thing that makes us feel full. So we just like never feel satisfied. So we're going to keep reaching for more and more of those high fat, high sugar comfort foods, and just kind of becomes this vicious cycle that can be really difficult to turn off, especially if we can't get out of that stressful environment that's causing this chronic stress in the first place. So, what is your body really telling you with those intense cravings? Like, why are we feeling these intense cravings? Why are we increasing that hunger hormone? Why is that hormone telling us to have all these comfort foods? This is operating on your primal survival instincts. So, your body thinks that you've just burned a huge amount of energy escaping danger because, back in the day, you would have burned a lot of energy running away from, say, a saber-toothed tiger. And so when you release that cortisol, that's a sign that your body is like actively escaping danger. You've burned a huge amount of energy to accomplish this, and it's demanding quick, dense fuel to recover from all of that energy demand that we just had. When you reach for that sugary snack, you're not failing at discipline. It's not like I'm trying to lose weight, I'm really stressed out, and oh, crud, I just had a chocolate bar. That's not because you didn't have willpower or discipline. You're responding to a deeply ingrained hormonal command that prioritizes immediate energy and comfort at these time periods. The problem is an all-day deadline isn't a life or death crisis the same way as like escaping a deadly animal is. And these simple calories aren't necessarily helping you to recover because you didn't just go sprint to run away and save your life. You were just frantically typing at a desk and feeling stressed because of this deadline that you've had looming over you all day. So these high fat, high sugar foods are just adding to your body's inflammatory stress response rather than helping it. Because, like I mentioned, we're not recovering and replenishing from a high demand activity. We are just feeling that stress of having this all day stress go on. So, what can we do in these periods of high stress? Like, we're not going to just make stress go away. You can't make that deadline go away. You can't get rid of all of the stress that's coming your way in the world. So, the goal here is to counteract this hormonal chaos and restore balance. And I have 4 ways to help you set yourself up for nutritional success, even when you are in these high stress periods. So, the first tip for you is to eat regular meals. Don't skip meals throughout the day. I know this can be really hard, especially when you're stressed, you have a lot to do. When we talk about work life, it's very common for us to work right through lunch, especially when we are feeling stressed and have those deadlines. Don't do it. Skipping meals is not the answer here. Stable blood sugar is going to be critical for stable stress hormones. So even having a small balanced snack is going to be better than a sugar high or an energy crash in terms of those stress hormones. So if you can make time for a balanced lunch, or even if you can sneak in a snack, that will really help with managing your hormones during these high stress periods. Number 2, I want you to prioritize nutrients. So focus on foods that really help to fight stress within the body. This means things like omega-3s from fish and nuts, magnesium coming from leafy greens, and fiber that comes from whole grains and beans. These types of foods really support your brain, and that can in turn help with regulating your cortisol release. So if we can help with managing your body's ability to control cortisol, that can in turn help with releasing less cortisol and preventing this negative cycle that comes from having that chronic stress. Tip number 3, I want you to try to plan for ease. Stress really drains motivation, and you are a lot less likely to cook a complicated meal when you're feeling stressed. That's just like one more thing that you have to do and one more thing you have to think about in the day. So let's just like not even try. I want you to focus on prepping simple and healthy, ready to eat snacks and meals that are so easy to grab that why wouldn't you? So things like hard-boiled eggs that are already pre-cooked, ready to go in the fridge. All you have to do is shell them and eat them. That is a great low effort snack. Something like yogurt or pre-cut fruit, pre-cut veggies. These are all options that take minimal time in the moment. If those are already cut, they're already ready to go. All you have to do is open the fridge and eat them. Unlike trying to build yourself a whole salad bowl from scratch that includes 23 different ingredients, that is going to take a lot of time. And while it might be eating healthy, in those high stress periods, you're probably not very likely to do it. So make it easy on yourself. Make the healthy option the easiest option. This is often where we do fail and we will like go to fast food because it's so much easier to just sit in a drive-through line than it is to fully cook that meal at home. So if you can set yourself up for easy meals like rotisserie chickens and bagged salads that take minimal effort to make, that can really help you with skipping the drive-through line and saving yourself during these high stress periods. The last thing I want you to think about is practicing mindful eating. So taking a minute, slowing down, putting your phone away, and put your attention on the food that's in front of you. Like I mentioned earlier, it is so easy, especially if we're stressed out by work, to just like work through lunch and skip that meal or to shovel food in while we're continuing to work. And that is not going to help either. That continues to perpetuate that stress that we're feeling. If we can slow down, if we can be intentional and we can pay attention to the food and how it tastes, that is going to ultimately impact how you feel. If you can learn to respect your body's true signal for fullness, this is one of the best ways to disengage from emotional eating. So if we can get more in tune with what it feels like to be comfortably full, what it feels like to be excessively hungry, and understand what those signals look like and feel like in our own bodies, this can really help to understand, actually, I am full. I have had enough to eat. I can tell that I'm stressed. And if I just go do 5 minutes of deep breathing or stretching or journaling, that might actually help me to feel a little bit more centered instead of reaching for that candy bar that in this moment might feel like a piece of comfort that I'm looking for. So if we can really focus on being a little more mindful when we eat, that can go a long way with combating these stress hormones and combating this desire to continue that negative cycle of emotional eating. I also want you to remember that high stress is more like a season. It's not a sentence. It's not here forever. It doesn't have to stay. Listen to the real message that's behind your cravings and really nourish your body. Focus on consistency. We are not here to be perfect. It's okay if you do give in and have that candy bar every now and then. But in the long term, we want to try and be more consistent and not give in to these emotional cravings as frequently. Your future self will really thank you if you can get these small things under control to help manage the bigger picture of stress eating and emotional eating. If this topic feels like something that you've been struggling with lately, or if you know that you have a high stress period coming up and that you traditionally do fall into the pattern of emotional eating, now would be a perfect time to reach out for help. All of us here at eNRG Performance are here to help you and happy to help you on that journey. So feel free to reach out and we would be glad to give you a chat. I hope that you have a good rest of your day and look forward to the next Q&A session.